Hello everyone, welcome back to Beginning D&D 3.5 edition. I'm your host Failure Fox, and today we're going to be speaking about alignment. Alignment is a very weird and sometimes extremely complex, simple, important, or not important element of Dungeons & Dragons, especially 3.5. 4th edition they modified it to be a little bit more of a single bar rather than the complicated thing that we've got here. Well, complicated. It sounds and seems complicated, and it is, and it's not. I may not be super helpful on this, but I really need to talk about it before I go on to anything else, because depending on what you're doing in Dungeons & Dragons, what your game master is doing, it can be the most important thing that you ever deal with. Or it could be completely non-important. But before we get into any of that kind of stuff, even pretend to get into it, let's talk about alignments in particular. Alignments, well, the dual axes alignment, I should say, that is in 3.5. And I believe 1st and 2nd as well. I definitely know it's in the 3rd edition. I'm dang sure it's in 4th. Whatever the... or 2nd. Whatever the case, let's go ahead and get into this. So, with an alignment chart that I've made, and for some reason it's in the little corner up here instead of, in the center like I had originally made it. Thank you, computer. We can just go ahead and show. You can see there's a lot of slots on here. That's because your alignment is made of 2 axes. Your good, neutral, evil, basically, axes, and your lawful through chaotic axes. Now, both of these together create your moral alignment, and when you create all of them together, you get a bunch of different ones. So you never have someone that's just good or just evil. They also are either lawful, neutral, chaotic, or something like that. Now I'll kind of try and explain these, because this is where it gets complicated. A basic understanding of how alignment works is, inherently it makes sense. Good is good, evil is bad, good hates evil. But then you have lawful chaotic, which gets a little confusing. I'm going to first start off with more on the good versus evil thing, because your basic idea is like, okay, so good hates evil, evil's a bad guy, or whatever. And then, so lawful good is like, oh, I'm a paladin, I take care of the weak, and that's what I do. Or chaotic is like, I'm an awesome guy, I'm a rogue. But it's not actually that simple, especially when you actually use a more, more enlightened view on good and evil. Because the basic rule in life is, unless you are insane, you do not consider yourself evil. Think about it. Almost every single person who's done horrible acts, who's been denounced as evil in history, in real life, has thought they were doing good in some way. Whether it be for themselves, for the people around them, or the world. It's a really dangerous thing to say, to give any examples. The best one I could think of is actually Hitler, which is a really scary thing to bring up, because you never really want to talk about something like that. But from his perspective, he was trying to basically make this, the Germans, the Aryan race, this is like the most important thing. It should, in his mind, be the one that's dominant on the earth. And he thought that was good. Inherently, genocide and, taking one people over everyone else is freaking evil. And that's where you start getting it a little bit more complicated, and you start using a different form for good and evil. For instance, good and I'm gonna preface this with giving you a link to a couple of articles from on Escapist, which are it was like All About Alignments, Part 1 and Part 2, which goes into a lot of what I'm saying and has a nice written format, so it's not as confusing as me blathering on for about an hour.
So going into this, I'm done with the example, by the way. You can stop thinking about that and thinking I'm a terrible person for bringing something like that up. Even though it... Anyway, moving on. When you go and think about a good person, what exactly is a good person? Someone who is selfless, who is helping other people, and is doing something just because it's a good thing to do. Then when you think about an evil person, technically, when you really think about evil, it's usually something very, very self-centered. They are the ones that think this is good. It's not the entire world thinking it's good. They are the ones that it's good for. It is benefiting them. It is what they want. Not what's good for everybody, but what they desire, what they want to be good for everyone. And that's a good way, basically the way you can opinionate evil with, is I want to conquer the world. It's a very self-centered thing. I want to rule the world. I want these people to be dead. That's basically the evil ideal. Good can kill people. It's not, when you play good in D&D, it's not, I'm a good person, I'll never kill. No. This is like medieval times where fucking people kill each other all the fucking time. It just happens. It's not black and white. Evil lets you kill people. Good doesn't let you kill people. Good can kill people. It's just you're not gonna kill good people that you know are good, because that's not what your dichotomy is. It gives you there's no benefit to you or society to kill people, basically. Now, neutral's really weird in D&D because it's supposed to be kind of a middle ground between either good and evil or lawful and chaotic. But that's kind of hard to really think of, because the first idea when you take a neutral character, you look at neutral, it's like, I can do anything. But is it you can do anything, or you're constrained by both sides? Alignment for the good evil axis, it's actually a little easier because you can kind of think of it more as neutral character would more likely do things for the greater good, but more so if it benefits them specifically. Like they're probably not going to go and help save the world, but they'll help save their country or save their city, something that's very close to them. Whereas or an enlightened one, an evil character, you can do an evil character can be in a good campaign and do good things. It's just he's going to do it for an extremely different reason. He's going to do it only if it benefits himself, basically. And it doesn't mean he can't be selfless. It's just he's going to have a very self-centered point to it. Like, he's the one character that's most likely to always go, what am I going to get out of this? What are you going to offer me to do this? What is my reward? I want a reward. I'm not going to risk my life just for nothing. Good character might do that, and on good faith expect a reward. A neutral character will probably expect the reward no matter what, but will still be like, alright. But an evil character, if he does something and he doesn't get rewarded, he's going to feel cheated and be very angry about it. Because it's not, unless, and of course, reward can be anything for any character. You can be given money, items, prestige, an ally. Lawful evil is actually well known for like doing good things just to get allies, someone on their side. Because if they do something, they can go, this guy can vouch for me. This guy is my friend. I am friends with the chief order of paladins here. He knows I do good. He knows that I'm good for this. When actually you're trying to go and kill the king. There's a lot more to the good and evil than a lot of people think at first. And it's really hard to really get a set idea on what good and evil is. Because everyone is a different person, and there's not really a, this is good, this is evil. Generally, your game master is going to have a set good and evil idea for himself. It's a pretty good idea to see if he has an explanation for you. If he does have an explanation for you on what's good and evil, then great. Then you can just go with that. If he doesn't, do the best of your ability. Check back with him if this is considered a good or an evil act or something every once in a while. If you're going to do something that you don't really think is what he's been theming things with. It's hard to really figure out sometimes. Now we'll go with lawful versus chaotic. Now, little known thing is lawful and chaotic. It's not just like, oh, you're lawful or oh, you're chaotic. Lawful and chaotic do not like each other. Like good and evil don't like each other. Good character cannot understand how an evil character would just go and murder someone because it was just in the way and it was faster to kill them. It would be, no, we had to negotiate or we had to try and do something positive first. You know, this was a child that was just bothering us. Why did you kill him? That's an extreme example, by the way. Likewise, a lawful character versus a chaotic character. Lawful character thinks about structure. It's like society, how society has rules. They think that is very important. That it's very important to have laws and abide by some sort of code or you know, have structure in your life. The chaotic character has a difficulty following to some sort of, you know, structure. As such, it's very difficult for a chaotic character to understand a lawful character, who structure is very important. Where the chaotic and a lawful character has a hard time with chaotic because chaotic doesn't care, or rather has a kind of an inability to follow structure. Now that's kind of a rendition on myself because technically I don't think a chaotic character has an inability to understand structure because that's just silly. That would mean no one could actually play a chaotic character and be in a party. It's just kind of an idea to get in your head to kind of show that lawful and chaotic do not really mix perfectly. Now, again, you could have lawful evil, chaotic good, which is the absolute opposite, you know, parts of this. You can see lawful evil versus chaotic good. They're as far apart as possible on this tree, or this thing, because you can't go diagonal. It's 1 step, 2 step, 3 step, 4 step. Everything else is 1 step or more closer, which means they're more likely to get along. So you could have a party with a lawful evil and a chaotic good, and they could get along. They could be good friends, in fact. Because like one very big thing about lawful evil is they're very, very likely to help the party because it benefits them to not die. You know, some really powerful sword, lawful evil like sorcerer, gives it up to the paladin, or you know, gives it up to, you know, this chaotic good character. Why? Because he can use it better. He can actually keep everyone alive with it. And the lawful evil character is like, yeah, you know what? Party's successful. We get better shit. I can claim it then. He can even pretend that it's like, I'm doing you a favor by letting you have this. So you've got your lawful, neutral, chaotic, and they're not going to really. They can mesh, but don't really want to naturally. By alignment by itself, it doesn't want to mesh. The lawful and chaotic. Now, neutral, of course, is in between, and again, instead of how I like to look at it, instead of being, you know, free of whichever one, it's just whatever. It's more wants to follow structure, wants to be lawful, but at the same time has trouble being lawful. So I find it more kind of a pulling dichotomy than instead of like a mesh together of what you feel like. Now you've got your combos, which are pretty interesting there. Lawful Good is pretty much going to be the champion of justice. He will follow the right path, the path of the world, the society. He will try and make sure that he'll probably follow a code of conduct. It's like have an honor code, and he will be good. He will do things for justice and goodness. Neutral Good. This is actually notified in the. Oh, by the way, lawful good doesn't mean you're just a nice person. You could be a freaking crazy-ass crusader guy. You could be someone who is just fervent. It's like, lawful good, the law says this, goodness says this, and go full force genocide if you really thought so. If, like, say there's a bunch of evil people, the law says they're bad, my good alignment says they're bad, destroy all of them without mercy. That is actually something you could do. You could get away with, barring your game master getting mad at you. Because you're technically supposed to show mercy, but not necessarily. It all depends. That's one of the fun things about Dungeons & Dragons, is it can be what it wants to be. It can be kind of like this way or that way, depending on the players and the game master. And the setting. And all sorts of things. Anyway, moving on. Neutral Good. The player's handbook itself actually defines it as the judge. Basically, the idea of keeping just the law itself is what's important. Because the neutrality, when mixed into other things, usually takes a little bit of a backseat to... I did this wrong. It's lawful neutral over here. I'm sorry. Takes a bit of a backseat to the other alignment. Like neutral, lawful neutral. The law is the more powerful one because neutral is a little bit weaker in the dichotomy. That's the correct term, actually. Yay! So, judge. The law. What does the word say? The words say it must be this way. Does following this mean that I'm killing people? Too bad. I don't care. I have my code, my word, the words that I follow. That's all that matters. Basically, that's an idea on that. Now again, moving on. Lawful evil. A lot of people like to call lawful evil the lawyer, which is actually a pretty good example. Usually, characters I see as lawful evil are very charismatic. They are the people that will talk their way out of it. They will try and sneak a diplomacy check in to weasel their way around something, or they will bluff check something out of somebody. You know, they're sneaky, but they're very they're usually kind of like prideful-ish. This is just how the characters I've seen. This doesn't mean lawful evil itself. This is how I actually interpret it a lot. It's kind of the evil aristocrat, I guess, or the evil advisor. You know, think about it like that. The evil advisor. He's out to take control from the king, but he follows all the rules. He's very careful, and he's very, very methodical. If one thing you could say about lawful, it's methodical. That is a good way of really bringing in that. Neutral good. You're probably going to be, more towards the I've got to do good. No matter how it gets done, it's got to do good. Try and do it by law. Try and do it just by, if it needs to be done, goodness. True neutral. This is a very, very awkward thing. I've never been able to understand true neutral, ever. The idea is you're trying to be a balance of all things. You're trying to be perfectly balanced, really. You're not trying to be lawful. You're not trying to be chaotic. You're not trying to be evil. You're not trying to be good. You're trying to be centered. So you may do good things, but your intention is not good. It's that it needs to be done. You may do something by the law, but you do not really care that it's by the law. You're doing it because it needs to be done, so you can get back to your center. You may do something rash, but it's more so that you're trying to be back at your center. It's like the centered thing. It's really hard to understand. I don't understand it. I've purposely avoided ever making a true neutral character because it's really hard to figure out for me. So moving on, neutral evil. Neutral evil is probably where, and lawful evil are probably going to be the only times you'll ever see an evil character in your party, and probably a lot of villains, a lot of the overarching big time villains will be these two. Because a neutral evil is pretty darn evil. He's going to do evil deeds, and he's going to do them in whichever way is most efficient at the time. If he has to take a longer time to it, he's going to set that in motion. Not really as long a plan as lawful evil might do. Lawful evil character might do it for like 20 years. Neutral evil might do it like a couple of months. It's good, put something into play. He's going to be a little bit more rash. He's going to be like, well, you've betrayed me, die. Or you failed me, you die. He'd be one of those kind of people. Lawful Evil probably wouldn't just kill someone who failed him. Alright, Chaotic Good. This is where a lot of your good rogues people tend to do, because they're like, okay, the immediate solution for goodness is to do this. For instance, like, let's say this person has betrayed you like a few times. The Chaotic Good is probably going to go, okay, fine. He cuts off his arms, like, now you can't freaking do this again. Later. Lawful Good would never do that. Lawful Good might be betrayed a few times and then either turn the guy in, make it so, imprison him somehow, or then have to execute it. But the Chaotic Good will probably do something more like, fuck it, fine, I'll just kill you right now if you're going to keep doing this. Now that may be good in the short run. It's much better, and in the long run it's usually better too, technically, just to kill the guy. But it's not merciful. You do not create, these big overarching networks of people, because that guy betrayed you like twice, and you finally converted him by being a lawful good character to helping you. Or he might eventually go, well, shit, you know what? You guys have helped me in the past. I'm going to help you now. You don't have that if you just kill him. Like a chaotic character. Chaotic character doesn't plan things out. He may plan things for the day. Or, like there's a dangerous situation. He's probably going to figure out, he'll not just jump over a pit. He'll like go, shit, this is dangerous. He'll figure that out. But he's not going to be like, we have this amount of time. We have this month. We need to do these things in this month. He'll be, we need to do something. This thing is what we gotta do. It's not going to plan anything out. Now the player will. The player will be a lot smarter than that. Every player versus character happens a lot. Your character is going to be this way, and your player is this way, and you're like, shit. My character would not have thought of that. Neither how smart he is by his stats, by his ability scores, neither how smart he acts, neither how smart I could think of him as. He would not have thought of this. That happens a lot for players and stuff. But that's off topic. Chaotic Good. What's good now? Well, it's also, honestly, the Lawful Good is more what is right now. Chaotic Good is more what will get the job done in a good fashion, for a good benefit. Basically, Chaotic Good is chaotic. A good way of saying chaotic is the end result of doing this right now. Is it what I want? Is it what's good? Is it what's neutral? Is it what's evil? Lawful is, it must be good now. It must be neutral now. It must be evil, benefiting me, in some way. That's kind of wrong. Because Lawful is kind of, and it's hard to really explain this now, because I've actually shattered my own way of doing this now. Because usually chaotic is like, chaotic good is like, I'll like torture this guy if I have to, in order to get this information so I can go and save millions of people. Whereas a lawful good character would be, I'm not going to torture this guy. That is wrong. That is morally wrong. At the same time, that it's not supposed to allow a chaotic character to have more freedom. They're supposed to actually have a limiting factor versus a lawful character. It's hard to really, because I've made it sound like chaotic has more freedom, and it kind of does, but it's not supposed to. Hopefully, you've already figured out some sort of ideal at this point, though. I'm gonna move on for now, though. Chaotic neutral. Chaotic neutral's weird. By the way, I have this my chart swapped by accident. Chaotic neutral. I don't know how to explain that one. It's a pretty self-centered one, where the immediate result is more important than most things. At least that's my interpretation of it. Now, real quick, I'm going to jump to Chaotic Evil just because this is the easiest one to do. Chaotic Evil is your mass murderer. chaotic evil is the guy that's just gonna be like, fuck you. I kill everybody. Those are your psychos. You can play a chaotic evil that's not a psychotic, but that's hard. You are almost never going to see a chaotic evil character in a good party, or even a neutral party, without them ousting him immediately. Because it's extremely hard not to show that you're chaotic evil. It's like, I want that, mine. You know, and that guy's I don't like that guy. Kill. It's what he wants at any moment is what he's going to do. That's why you never see them. In an evil party where you're going to do evil shit all the damn time, yeah, chaotic evil's gonna be there. But if you're gonna be in a party that's known to be good, don't go chaotic evil. Be a bro. If you gotta be evil, be neutral or lawful. But be a bro, man. Don't go chaotic evil in a good party. They do have the right to kill you. Your lawful good paladin has the absolute right to kill you without even saying anything, because if he knows you're chaotic evil. Paladins are there to destroy evil. I mean, he won't work with them, but that's their shtick. Do not assume you are safe from a party due to alignment. Anyone can break alignment. They can do something against their alignment. The only problem is, don't do that too much. Your alignment can change in game. And that changes certain things that you can do with items, abilities sometimes. If you can even play some certain classes, you can actually lose all your class abilities if you fail your alignment changes. Or you break your alignment at all. And honestly, in 3.5, it's not such a problem. I'm pretty sure it's not even there at all in 4th. But I don't know. I don't study 4th anymore. But in older editions, if your alignment changed, you lost an entire level. You could lose an entire level. Now, levels are very important in D&D. Do not think that this is like a normal RPG from like your video games where you level up every you play for an hour, you get 5 levels. No. You on any game, you're probably by the end of the campaign going to go from level 1 to 10. Maybe 5. And that's over like 4 months. D&D levels slow. You need to understand that. You lose a level, you've lost a lot of ability. Now in 3.5, it's not really as important, like I said. But you can lose abilities and classes and stuff like that by losing your alignment. That doesn't mean it's going to happen instantly, but if you're like a lawful good character and keep doing evil acts, it's going to shift. And it's going to be that way. It's not going to help you. Like, for instance, a paladin has to be lawful good. You do evil acts, it's going to shift you towards evil. If you're not lawful good as a paladin, you lose all of your abilities. You keep like your base attack bonus, and that's it. You are now worthless, technically. You're worse than a fighter, which is one of the least powerful things that are still powerful anyway, in D&D. You're worse than a monk, which is the least optimizable thing in the core handbook. Doesn't mean they're terrible, it just means it's harder to make them super awesome. And the average game, don't worry about that right now. So, alignment. Really freaking complex. Really freaking simple if your dungeon master just says it's this way. Really, really interesting to meditate on and just think about. Read the articles linked in the description below. Come up with your own definition of alignment. I actually would really like this. Anyone who's played Dungeons and Dragons or has an alignment system, played any game with alignment system, put something in the comments about your opinions on it, what you think the alignment is. You're probably going to be a lot more articulate about this than I am because it's so complicated. And I want to hear your opinion because it's such a crazy thing sometimes. And what's more is a lot of what your alignment concept will be is conceptual. It's going to be in your head. It's going to be hard to really explain. You'll have a feel for what's lawful and chaotic and good and evil and what's mixed up. But no one will understand what true neutral is, which is what neutral is referred to as, if I haven't noted that. It's, yeah, I really want to hear what your opinions are on this, because this is such an interesting and complex thing. It's really something I want to hear other people talk about. I actually have only spoken to a few people about alignment because it's such a crazy thing. Again, please comment. If you have any questions, I'm probably going to fail to answer them on this because this is literally everything I know on alignment right now. Pretty much. At least I can articulate out into a video. But questions, other people might have an idea. Anything. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. Please, please comment on that. If you guys just think that alignment's crazy, comment anything. Anyway, this has now probably been an hour because I cannot take time. However, this was something I needed to get out before I did anything else, and is why this has been delayed for months and months, because this is so hard to talk about. Anyhow, next time, I think we're going to start making characters. See you then.